Hi, I'm Dr. Wanda J. Evans-Brewer, and I'm seated with.
Gia.
Okay. So this is actually, what is this? This is June 5th. And Gia pressed really, really hard to want to do this video. In fact, I told her, I said, listen, I'm tired. We should do it. And she's wanted to do it for the last couple of days. And so I said, I'm tired. I really don't want to do it. But she really wanted to talk to you all. One, about some feelings that she's been having, what she's been going through. And then also she wanted to kind of inspire other people, particularly maybe people who have kids in her age group, on ways to get through this very, very tumultuous time. So what, you push for this, Gia. What is it that what is happening with you that you feel that you need to share something?
Well, what's happening with me is it's like everything, you can't run away from it. It's like you try to run away from it and you basically can't. Like, you try, like.
What is, okay, first of all, what is the it? Because you haven't even told people what's behind all of this.
Well, what's behind all of this is like how you see every day on the news, you see everything is nothing but depression and people scared to go out their homes, and like you see nothing but vandalizing and police beating us. So
it's that, but it's also huge protests.
Yes.
It's also it's also random protests. It's also rioting. And let me separate the three for you. You have rioting, you have protests, you have rioting, you have looting.
Mm-hmm.
So the protests are people who have decided, I'm not going indoors. We're going to walk. We're going to hold signs. We're going to sit on the line. We're going to have, like die-ins where we pretend to be in the same position of the person that was deceased. We're going to basically be resistant. Then there's rioting. The rioting is another level. It gets higher, stronger. So now you have people with fiery speeches and demands, and you may get some property damage. You definitely have the potential to have clashes with people who disagree with you, with the police. Those type of things happen. And then there's looting. And looting is a whole nother level, because now you're talking about the stealing of property. You're talking about the breaking in, the destruction, the taking of property that doesn't belong to somebody. And then you have to understand that the looters are there for a reason, and they're there because they are the clearest but lowest level of despair. When you get to the point that all that's left, the only statement that you can make is to steal and tear up somebody else's property. That's a pretty sad state of affairs. So you've been looking at all of that.
Yes, and that's what, like, if you have children that are my age or age up, I recommend.
Well, first of all, what is your response to that? Like, you're seeing people loot, steal, you're seeing the random protests, because some of it has made you proud. What is some of the stuff that's happened that you felt good about?
I felt good about when I saw this one video of this police where he bended down to this one girl. She asked if you're going to shoot us, and he said no, we're not here, but don't go destroying stuff.
Okay.
That I loved. And others, I love where the police actually listened and they joined them to go and walk with them. But I feel like sometimes, like, when you do see where they are being rude and they are beating us and they are arresting us and stuff, I feel like when they are arresting you, please, I beg, do not scream. Because if you scream, for me, that's just telling them to go even more harder and do all other stuff.
So what you worried about is that the fact that that there's any sort of verbal exchange, any sort of confrontation, arguing, that it just escalates it.
Yes. So
now and I agree, but you do know, because I just want you to know, there are people who do comply and still get the same treatment.
Yes.
Okay. But you saying just as in general, you would like to see people just sort of accept it and go along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But here and there I see where it's not fair and you didn't come there for that. But sometimes it's just, I don't say that you keep watching it like some YouTube and Facebook, and if you're a child and you have TikTok and all you ever see is videos of nothing but looting and stuff like that.
What did it do to you? Because one of the things I told Gia was, I said, Gia, stop taking it in. Like, one of the worst things about this is that we're quarantined. And so you can't say, okay, let's go out to the park. Let's do all these other things that would take your mind off of it. But I said, put that down. Stop watching. She stopped watching it. But then it was so much of it, it started showing up even innocently and stuff that she was watching. And it overwhelmed her to the point that you had a meltdown.
I had a meltdown right in the basement. And it absolutely just hurt my own heart to see children screaming for their lives, and especially black people in general. Like, even when white people try to help us and try to do everything the best that they can, they still come after us. Their own people, they still come after us. And at the end of the day, these people are going home to their own families and sleeping happily at night. Because you have to remember, these suits and these guns and these stuff like that, that's their job. But you have to remember, they're still a human being. They're not just some special person. And they're supposed to be protecting us, not killing us. And
so a lot of this stuff seeped in on the technology, because I can tell people listening to the show, I monitor, I filter, I censor what Gia consumes on, because it does get deep in you, and it builds anxiety. So I see where Gia's anxiety is high, her depression got there, and then we're sitting there talking about nothing, and she burst into tears, and she just said, listen, I've been holding this in, I can't take it anymore. And then she just really just melted down and told me, like, this country is just full of so much anger and murder and hate, and that's all people are talking about. And we've never really had a deep talk about race. And so now, this is 2020 is the removing of the scales off my daughter's eyes. She's aware that there is a tension, and it's a real racial tension between blacks and whites, something that she really hasn't had to think much about, and now she's thinking about every single day. So this is some of the residue, even though we're in and we haven't gone to any of the demonstrations, and we're not protesting, and we're not looting, and we most certainly are not rioting. This is the carryover, that there's a stress and a sadness and a depression that comes from a lot of what is going on right now. So the main thing too is that, what did you ask to do? You really want to go where?
Back to Ghana, because you see people every day in Ghana. The worst that could happen is Chinese people messing with them. That's the worst that could happen. Like, for me, everything with Ghana is nothing but peace. There's no fighting. It's none of this stuff where is no people screaming for their lives and people on their last life and all this other stuff and police beating them. It's just, you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and what you're not supposed to do is, I get all the protesters and stuff like that. I love it. But at some point, you have to go in your house and just sit down.
You're ready for it to just kind of...
Just please. Because you see these police officers, they don't feel like waking up every day to hear these protesters are out here, come and get them. And
they don't. But I mean, and these mothers and these families don't want to wake up every day and bury their children.
Yes.
Over... he went through a stop sign, or I pulled him over to get his ID, or, You know, I mean, it's the stuff that they're being murdered over is so simple that these are things that should easily be settled with a ticket or a fine or, maybe even a couple of days in jail, but you shouldn't die for that. So, and then in terms of, to go back to what you were saying about Ghana, yeah, Ghana is a peaceful nation. It has its issues with, corruption and crime. All nations do, but they're very, very minimal compared to what we experienced in here. So Gia emphatically asked, like, when is the border open, and how quickly can you get these tickets? I'm ready to go. That's essentially what she says, and she's been asking me every day, have you heard anything about the borders? And on one hand, I completely understand because I'm tired of it myself. But on the other hand, there's a piece of me that feels sad. Like, yes, it's always been our intention at some point to have a longer stay in Africa, to live there in a longer space. But I didn't want to go on terms of like almost running away from my country, from my own nation, and that's what this feels like. It feels like, literally we would hang on to the side of the plane as it was taking off because the tension, you can literally, cut it with a knife. So, when we go outside, she's nervous. When we go to the store, she's nervous. Everything disturbs now because everything is being disturbed now. Yeah. So what's your advice, Gia?
My advice is, like I said a couple of minutes ago, if you are a kid in my age and you have watched this channel for a couple long times.
Is that TikTok stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you play on TikTok and you have other games, please, I recommend do not keep watching that. Because even though you might say, oh, this will not get to my head that much, it will. Unexpectedly, it will. And when it does, it's going to burst out and hurt. So I just, here and there, I do watch a little bit of TikTok, but I only watch dances. But if you do, and you still want to see TikTok, I recommend just scroll away from it. No matter, even though you want to look at it and you want to see what's going on, scroll. Because if you scroll, your mind won't go towards it.
And I mean, Gia says scroll TikTok. I say come off the technology completely. That you just have to detox it, and cut it down to a few hours. And again, it's a hard request to make because we're quarantined. Mm-hmm. And so the days are long. So you can't say, well, watch TV. It's like it's everywhere. So, I don't know. We're still figuring it out. But the beautiful thing is that this 9-year-old kid has a heart for telling others, at least in her own little way, ways to be okay. Do you think this is a time that's going to pass? And what is your hope for what's going on here?
My hope for what's going on here is that this world will change. Because, the Lord, He doesn't feel like hearing every day, like, His people are dying and crying and stuff. Mm-hmm. I know He doesn't. So that's why every night, before I close my eyes, I always do a short little prayer. And I just like to fill my heart with joy before I sleep. Because if you watch that before you sleep, it's going to go into your dreams. So this morning I woke up and I had a dream about the rioting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's because I just watched it. So that's
after I told her not to.
Yes. So even though your parents tell you get off this and get off that and you're quarantined, mm-hmm. no matter if you're quarantined, you have to remember you're still a kid. Mm-hmm. Even though you might grow up into a teenager and you might like other things or you might like doing TikTok and stuff like that, but that doesn't stop you from being a kid. You can still do the old-fashioned stuff, play with dolls and toys, and
read a book.
You've
been reading a book with grandma. That's deep.
You could sometimes here and there you can go on YouTube and watch old shows you
I've
used
been
to
trying
watch.
to get off the technology altogether. I had her the other day go outside and ride her scooter, and it was just like, she looked at me like, really? And it's like, after a few rides, she felt better. Like, you just have to come out the technology.
And at some point, I was so into technology, my eyes would burn every day. Haven't you noticed, like, when you're on technology, your eyes begin to like just
They get tired. It's a lot of it's a lot of the blue light, and then you need glasses too. So, anyway, what else do you want to say as we close out, Gia? Because this was Gia's press, and she wanted to give a message of hope on some level about getting through this really, really tumultuous time.
My last thing I want to say today is be safe, be kind, be respectful, and respect others like you want to be treated. And be careful of technology, because that will get in your head.
And it's on the technology. They're putting a lot of images.
So if you're a kid, watch out. And even though you're
I'm not a
if
kid,
you're
and
an
I still
adult,
need to watch out.
you too.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are, how young you are, be careful.
And I want to give a special shout out to Joseph, homework buddy in Ghana, who shared I had shared with him what was going on with Gia, and he sent some really, really amazing, MP3 files, little message files through the WhatsApp. You'd be surprised at just the simplest, encouraging words come right at the right time. And he's a very kind, eloquent person, but he said such sweet things to her, and it really did what to you?
It changed my whole mind. Like, I couldn't believe that actually helped my mind, because it was a lot of stress. Plus, when you're in a house, even when your parent is with you, you still have that thought in your mind, like, I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah.
And like, I can't believe what's happening in this world, and I can't believe how many people has lost their lives.
A lot.
You have to remember, encourage yourself. Don't say stuff into existence. Like, don't tell yourself bad stuff and get your head like that. Just think about lovely stuff. Like how I can't wait till this is over. I can't wait so I can see my friends again. I can't wait for school to come back. This is the stuff I want you to have in your mind. But we'll still be making more videos.
Yeah.
Even though we have been off a long time.
It actually hasn't been that long. It's been, what, like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
That is long for us, but needed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening.
Yep.
We're signing off.
And
be safe.
Yeah.
Peace and progress.
And we'll see you next time. The next time we make a video, we'll try to make it faster. Bye.